Chicks, Let's Chat. Listen, as women, a lot of times we have a hard time accepting the fact that there are some things that we want, and even though we want them so bad, willing to do anything for whatever it is that we want, those things may just not be for us, no matter what it is, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a job, may be a certain profession. We may be in college, it may be a certain major, and I understand that, when you have your mind set on something, you have all the reasons why this is for you. This is what you're supposed to have. This is what you're supposed to be doing. This is why this person works better for you than anybody else. Like, listen, we can write a whole thesis on why we should have and should do whatever it is. But the truth of the matter is that you're going to have telltale signs usually all along the way that this ain't it. This not the direction you're supposed to be going in. This not the move you're supposed to be making, And a lot of times, when those signs come, we ain't listening though. We're not paying attention. So I'm going to say, for example, if you up and move somewhere, right? But just because that was the city or state that you wanted to be in, but yet ain't nothing been going right for you since you got there. But you just wanted to up and move to Miami so bad. You wanted to up and move to Atlanta so bad. You wanted to up and move wherever it was you wanted to do. That's just where you felt like, hey, you need to be there. The reality is that just because you had a good vacation there, it does not mean that that's a great place for you to live. It does not mean that that's where all your needs going to be met at. It does not mean that that's where you're going to be most productive. Does not mean it has anything to do with your purpose. You just either had a good vacation there, or you just either had a desire to be there for whatever reasons. Maybe you've seen a lot of good posts coming from that area. Maybe that's just been somewhere you wanted to be. Don't mean that's where you're supposed to be. It may be, even in my case, it was a major that I wanted, right? I was dead set on nursing. You hear me? I was dead set on nursing when I went to college. And it's crazy because here it is, I'm saying I'm going to college for nursing, and guess what happened? The first school I went to didn't even have nursing as a major. That's how much research I did. That's how much research I did. Listen, when they was dividing us into majors, we in the gym, they dividing us into majors. I'm looking for nursing. I don't see nursing nowhere. I'm like, wait a minute. So that was my first, wait a minute. So boom, I'm still dead set against nursing even after I leave that school a year and a half later. Left that school as a sophomore. So in between us, since I'm dead set on nursing, I said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take a CNA class, right? Because of course I felt like, boom, that's gonna help me get closer to what it is that I want to do. Let me tell you something. When I took that CNA class and we went to the nursing homes and we were bathing, the older people and stuff like that, I saw a man who his genitals, his scrotum was so big. You hear me? I'm talking about, I had never seen nothing like it in my little young life at that point. I ain't seen nothing like it since then. But when you got a scrotum sack that is huge like a little ball, that scared me. I was like, what in the world? And we having to, bathe them, stuff like that. And I was like, do I really want to do this? And then, of course, people were saying, well, this is the lower level of nursing. But still, that's when it started to register in my mind, like, really, the type of stuff that I was going to be up against, right? And I knew from the part-time jobs that I had done started having that I was going to be more like an office girl. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to be anybody that really wanted to, do a whole lot of physical labor. But still, even that couldn't, went to my next college. Guess what you think you finna major in? Nursing. Guess what? Knowing I ain't strong in science and math, I just stuck to it. gonna have to get these grades up if that's something you really want to do, and it's gonna have to be in, you know, this area in math and science. I ain't even had planned on taking no more science classes. It was then that I said, no, okay, I get it. This ain't for me. This ain't what I'm supposed to be doing. So I was like, okay. I knew, well, I had been groomed, I'll say, you know, into feeling like I had two solid choices that I could choose from, because they were always going to be needed, which was going to be either the medical field or the criminal justice field. Now, I knew I had to mess with too many criminals to even want to be bothered with the criminal justice field, right? Education was a no-no for me. So that wasn't even on the table. It was between healthcare and criminal justice. So I was like, okay, well, what can I do still in the healthcare field that will allow me? So then that's what made me go ahead and have a health administration. So I said that to say, like, if you paying attention, there will be telltale signs along the way. Because here it is, you saying you want to move to Florida, but you scared of hurricanes. Well, baby, Florida ain't for you. Because even out of hurricane season, want to sneak through here. So if you feel like you're going to lose your mind at the thought of you know, preparing for a hurricane, this ain't for you. It ain't for you. So yeah, you know, if we pay attention to you know, what the things that are happening around us, when we making certain decisions, when we having certain thoughts, if we really just pay attention, it will help you to decide, especially when you are indecisive. It'll help you to decide, like, you know, yeah, this may not be that great. And I'm not saying that all the time just because you don't want to do something, or just because something ain't working out, that means it's a hard no, because that's not the case. A lot of times it may be something you don't want to do, or you don't necessarily mesh well with, that's exactly what you're supposed to be doing. You know, it's some things that just have to change and grow and break. But once those things happen, then you will know that you right, you know, position where you're supposed to be. But nevertheless, when that is not the case, and you making moves, you making decisions that's not in line with what you should be doing, usually the signs will be there. You trying so hard to make a relationship with this person, and every attempt that you make, either they pushing back on it, or they go along with it, and you still not getting the outcome that you want. It's still not what you're signing up for. Yeah, you don't have no real hard ties to this person. You don't have no kids from this person. No matter how much unprotected whatever y'all done did, you ain't had no kids from them. Y'all don't have any real commitments, meaning you're not married, you're not engaged. What you there for? Because it's something one of y'all really, really want to do. But that may not be what y'all really should be doing. You may not function in your best or become your best self, even if you do end up with that person. Right? That don't mean that was the best situation that you could have got in. That don't mean that that's the situation that's going to allow you to become the best woman that you can be. That don't mean that that's the situation that's going to yield you that happily ever after life that you're aiming for. It just means that was something that you wanted so much that eventually God opened the door and said, all right, that's what you want? Okay. You want him. But I had Mr. Prince Charming lined up for you. But you wanted Mr. Prince mess with everybody. You know, I had Prince Charming lined up for you, but you wanted Prince Cheating. So here you go. Here you go. So we have to be very mindful of that, especially as we get older, because there's so many things that we don't know to look out for when we're younger, and we just going along with the moments and figuring things out as we go. But now when you have so many people speaking on different topics, different subject matters, different situations, different circumstances, and you have people sharing their real life stories with you, you just don't have those same you don't have the same reasons to make the same bad decisions, because it's just too much information out here now. It's too many people who are, you know, opening up their lives, being vulnerable and sharing things with you for the purpose of your growth, for the purpose of you not having to make the same mistakes they've made, you know, for the purpose of helping you navigate and move around the things that trap them up. If you just pay attention, if you do the work, do the research, you know, listen. Sometimes you got to listen with your ears, then sometimes you have to listen to things with your heart and really let it soak in, really take it in, you know, because I know, hey, everybody have a podcast these days, so a lot of people are going to be talking and saying this, saying that, and, you know, you may take a good point or two, and everything else just go, you know, go on one ear, out the other, and then boom, you know, scroll on to the next thing. But there are really some real life skills that you can, you know, that you can obtain from some of these people, because some of these people are very, very open about their experiences, and if you just take a little time, it'll help you. You know, like I said, it's so many situations that you can avoid if you just use the tools that you have, you know. But just, I don't know why we are just dead set against just having what we want. And a lot of times, I say this too, for us sisters who, you know, a little more educated, we get stuck on we want what we want, and we supposed to have that, right? We feel like we done put our time in, we done went to college, and we have, you know, matriculated, and, you know, and we may be at a certain earning point, and we just feel like whatever it is that we want, we supposed to be able to have that. And, you know, I hate to argue that point, because I have been in the mindset of I should have exactly what I want. I have made the sacrifices. I have put the time in. I done, you know, X, Y, and Z. I should have what I want. And the reality is just that, you know, until you are really tapped in with what your purpose is in life and what God would have for you, sometimes you want things that's just totally out of what you need. You want things that's just totally out of what's best for you. You know, you it's a lot of women who get caught up in, you know, the fact that they should, you know, they supposed to have kids by a certain age, or that they supposed to have kids at all. That, you know, they're supposed to be married, they're supposed to X, Y, and Z. Guess what? Some of us, and I have to say us, some of us are going to have a better life without children than we ever would have had with kids. Let me repeat that. Some of us are going to have a better life without children than we ever would have had with kids. And you know why? Because a lot of us have children. Because why? Because we're doing the things what it takes to make children. So a lot of us will have children because we were able to conceive. But see, then there's two kind of people with kids. You have the people who have kids, and then you have the people who actually want kids. Now, the people who actually want kids, they have different and better parenting styles than the people who just have kids. could argue me all day and all night. And I have been in a situation where I didn't want children, and I've been in a situation where I wanted kids, right? Now, I always say, most of the time that I wanted kids, what I really wanted was the guy. I really wanted the relationship or the bond more than I actually wanted the kid. But I would have took the kid, you know. Now, as I got older and I started saying, well, dang, I might should just go ahead and just have a kid because, listen, I'm getting older, and we are conditioned that that's what we're supposed to do. So then by the time I'm really interested in it, now I'm having problems conceiving. So it's like, well, dang, what I'm going to do now? Enjoy my life. Enjoy my life without those type of responsibilities. And if it's somebody's child that I want to help raise, then I know how to go and get become a foster parent, or I know how to become an adoptive parent, or I know how to just pitch in with all these other kids who ain't been being parenting right. I know how to get in. I know how to tap into the people who just had the kids but didn't really want them. Because those, let me tell you something. Let me tell you how you know them people. Those the easiest people to get their kids. Those the easiest people for you to become godparents to. Those the easiest kids for you to become, aunties to. Those the easiest kids for you to be able to spend time with. The ones who just had kids but didn't really want them. Because why? Because they're always looking for an opportunity to get rid of them. You could jump in my comments and argue, because I could argue this point all day with somebody, because I ain't talking about what I heard. I'm talking about what I know and what I have observed personally through the work that I do. Like, I have sat and analyzed this and thought about this, and it was another comment in another post or whatever where a young lady was talking about the same thing in regards to not wanting to have kids and being okay with the fact that she didn't want to have kids, and it seemed like other people wasn't okay with that. And so when I jumped in the comments, that's why I saw that comment that said you have the people who have kids, you have the people who want kids. And I thought about that. I was like, man, that's a statement. And then I thought about, almost everybody that I know, there was definitely a difference between the people who wanted them and the people who had them. Now, in some situations, people didn't necessarily want them and they had them, and then once they got here, through the years, it became a situation where they started behaving like they actually wanted them. And that's some people, because the opposite also holds true, in that through the years, there were also people who started acting like they didn't want them. And those the people who, when you talk to them, they say, girl, you ain't got no kids, don't have none. And they serious. You have people who tell you that and they're playing. But you have people who will look you in their eye, look you dead in your eye, and from their gut, they mean don't have none. Those are the people who they had them versus they wanted them. And sometimes, like I said, you might start off saying you want them, and then you get in that situation, and what? It's the worst thing ever happened to you. It ain't no different with being married. It ain't no different with that. How many times people wanted to get married, or better yet, what they fantasized about was the wedding. They wanted a wedding. They wanted to be able to have their moment in that white dress, coming down the aisle, dad or mama giving them away. They wanted to have that moment, and they didn't feel whole until they actually had that moment. But as far as standing in the paint in the marriage, they were ill prepared to stand in the paint when it came to the marriage. They was more than ready for the wedding. Can't stand the marriage, couldn't stand the marriage, didn't stand the marriage. So again, I say, usually there are some telltale signs on the things that's for you and the things that are not for you. And sometimes we go out our way to push the envelope to make something be for us, right? And I always second guess, certain things. Like, do you want to adopt kids? Is that something you really want to do? Because imagine, You adopting the child, and then that child you adopt grow up to tell you all kind of what you ain't did for them, and dislike you. And this, I'm the type of person, I'm going to reflect back and say, it wasn't ever meant for me to do that. If I adopted a kid and that kid turned out and started acting like that towards me later in life, I would be like, see, I should have never did that. If it wasn't meant, it just wasn't meant. If it didn't happen how it's supposed to happen, it wasn't meant. Now that's how I would do. Now other people, it may say something different. And of course, if it turned out positive, I would say, okay, this was this is what I was supposed to do. But what if it don't? So there are some things that, even though it's not how we saw our life going, it's still exactly how your life's supposed to be going in terms of your purpose, in terms of what God had designed for you. Yeah, you might have saw yourself being a wife, a husband, or somebody, but if you could rewind, or if you could fast forward and see that same husband that you done wished for and cried for, and that man that you done begged to be with so bad, that person ends up physically and mentally abusing you. If you could see that ahead of time, when you make some different decisions, when you try to notice all the red flags, if you could foresee what's going to happen in that situation, when you change the type of moves that you make, yes, you would. So instead of jumping head first into some bad situations, why not start paying attention to the writing on the wall? Why not start saying, you know what, yeah, that may be what I want, but is that situation really for me? So yeah, I just challenge y'all and encourage y'all to start paying attention to the things that you want versus the things that you should want, or the things that should be happening versus just the things you want to happen. Two things can exist. You can want something, and it can be exactly what is for you. Yes, oftentimes that happens, and that is truly what you want to happen. You want those things that will benefit you, will uplift you, will be a part of your purpose. You want to have a desire that's how that life goes for you, but far too many times we chase those things that just don't mesh well with our life. And then we'll have the audacity to get upset about it, to feel some kind of way, or to let other people make us feel some kind of way. Oh, you ain't married? I ain't getting beat on neither. I ain't getting beat or cheat on. Like, yeah, they have to start being your comeback. And I'm happy. And unless God gonna duplicate that happiness, that peacefulness, that financial security, unless God gonna duplicate that and press it down, shake it, and bring it back to me with a man, then I just sit here and take what I have, because I'm sitting pretty right now. It would be dumb of me to try to chase a fairy tale, and then I'm no longer sitting pretty, and then I'm miserable, and I'm mad, and I'm upset. Life don't have to go like that. Pay attention to the writing on the wall. Enjoy.